Hey everyone, Chef Tom here. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to show you how to work with the President's Choice puff pastry. We're going to do a savory tomato and goat cheese tart and a delicious sweet blueberry and mascarpone Danish. Let's get at it. Okay, let me show you the ingredients we're going to be using for our goat cheese and tomato tart. So we're going to use 1 sheet of our President's Choice puff pastry. We have 3 cups of cherry tomatoes that we've cut in half. I'm going to be using about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, a tablespoon of garlic that we've chopped, 3 tablespoons of red onion that are chopped, a tablespoon of chopped thyme. We have basil here, so about 2.5 tablespoons of basil, 150 grams of goat cheese, 2.5 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, and we have some balsamic vinegar here, about 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, some salt and pepper, of course, and we're ready to go. Okay, let's talk about the ingredients we're going to be using for our blueberry mascarpone Danish. So, of course, we're going to be using our President's Choice puff pastry, about 1 sheet of that. Then we have a cup of blueberries. We have 5 ounces of mascarpone cheese, a teaspoon of lemon juice, a tablespoon of 35% cream. We have 1/3 cup of sugar, a tablespoon of vanilla. We have our egg. This is going to be for our egg wash for both our goat cheese and tomato tart and our blueberry Danish. And we have some icing sugar that we're going to put on top of our Danish. So let's get at it. Okay, for a tomato tart, we want to make sure we get our tomatoes nice and marinated. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I'm going to add some pepper. And then we're going to add this thyme, balsamic vinegar, our garlic, onions, about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. That's roughly good there. And all we do now is mix this well, incorporate everything together. Then what we want to do is we want to put this in a strainer, and we want these tomatoes to marinate for roughly half an hour to an hour. And then we're going to be using the liquid from the bottom to reduce and give us lots and lots of flavor. So we're done there. Okay, while our tomatoes are marinating, let's start our filling for our blueberry Danish. So we want to take our mascarpone cheese, put that in a bowl, perfect. And then our vanilla, our sugar, lemon juice, and a little bit of cream, and just mix that all together. You want to make sure you incorporate it well, and then we're just going to set this aside. Okay, for our Danishes, what I did is I took a sheet of our puff pastry, I cut it in half and then cut it in half again, and then what I did here is I took the back of my knife and I'm scoring just about 1/2 inch away from each square. We don't want to go right through, but we want to create a border, and that will puff up for us. So then we take our fork and we score it so it doesn't puff up on us as much. Next thing we want to do is put a little bit of egg wash around the edges. So I've beaten an egg, and now I'm going to just do those edges. It's going to give me some beautiful golden color. Okay, so I've taken our mascarpone filling and put it right into our Danish, keeping it away from the borders, just like that. And now simply I'm going to add in our blueberries. Okay, so now that we have our filling on our puff pastry and our blueberries, we're going to put it in a preheated oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. So while our blueberry Danishes are in the oven, let's look at the liquid we have from our tomatoes, and we're going to reduce that down now. And what we want to do is we want to reduce all this delicious liquid down to about a tablespoon. And then we're going to add it back to our tomatoes. Okay, so our tomato liquid has reduced nicely. So about a tablespoon, maybe a little more. Perfect, it's getting nice and thick. And right over our tomatoes. And that's just going to give us tons and tons of flavor. Okay, just like our blueberry Danish, what I did is I scored a border around 2 pieces of puff pastry. So this was one. I cut it in half, scored the borders around here, took my fork and poked some holes, not going all the way through, to prevent the puff pastry to rise in the center. And I just spread a little bit of this Dijon mustard right in the center, not touching the edges. And I'm going to put this in the oven now for roughly 10 minutes in a 400-degree preheated oven. Okay, so we took our puff pastry out of the oven after about 10 minutes. If it puffs up on you a little bit in the middle, just take a paring knife and poke it down and just pat it down, leaving the edges the way they are, like you see that. And now I've just added our marinated tomatoes to each little well here. And this goes in the oven for another 5 minutes, and then we're gonna take it out. Okay, so the tart's been in there for 5 minutes. We took it out, and now we're just gonna add a little bit of goat cheese right on top here. And again, if you like a lot of goat cheese, go for it. If you wanna use a little bit less, that's totally fine also. And now I'm gonna put it in the oven for another quick 5 minutes. Okay, so our tomato goat cheese tart is out, and I'm gonna add some basil to finish. Looks so good, smells delicious. And then we have our blueberry and mascarpone Danishes, and we're just going to dust those. A little bit of icing sugar. And there you have it, puff pastry 2 ways. Tomato goat cheese tart and a blueberry mascarpone Danish. Enjoy and see you soon.